in my house, we've always grown up with pets. Growing up, we first had two dogs when I was really tiny. We had two boys named Neklo and Brusky. And they were like, tiny fellows, but then like those were the boys that we grew up with. And they were like, so I grew up in Nainital, and we wouldn't really tie them up so much, so they'd be open in the house, and then when you leave them out, even though they were, so one of them was a Pomeranian and the other was an Apso, the Alasha Apso, and they were a terror for everybody in the house. In the street, you'd have people climbing up walls when you leave them out, because they're like the big boss people of the gully. And they lived up to around 14 years of age, and then both of them passed away within 1 week of each other. And my sister and I stopped eating, stopped doing everything, and it was exam season. So and we used to stay with my bua. So she told this person to just go get any dog they find and bring us a dog. And then we got this beautiful fellow named Hariprasad. He was a pink little thing with no hair and his tail tucked in between his legs. And we were fine after that because we thought, okay, dog. But this fellow grew up to be such a lovely boy. I mean, this one, he was like a very Bollywood story, this one. He came in like this lanky, scrawny fellow who was scared of everything, and grew up to be like the hero-like transformation boy who's walking around everywhere being the dada. So he was a lovely being again. I think the only thing he was scared of for no reason was my mum, and otherwise everybody was scared of him because he just always had his way. He will take your bed from you, he will take your food from you, he will take everything he needs without really caring about what you're going to do. And the only way you could try and control it was say mama, and he'd be like a little skeptical then, but yeah, he was quite a lovely boy. He had this habit of so he'd leave home at around 8ish in the evening after dinner, and then he won't come back till like 3. And if we were in Nainital, you could see the other hill from your own balcony. And if you stand in the balcony, you can actually see this white spot on the other hill, which is just randomly running around like Brownian motion. And if you whistle, it stops for like a moment, and then you kind of know that's the boy. And so Hariprasad was our buddy growing up after Nekubroski. Like he was with us till I just about finished school. He was there with us till I was in the 10th standard.
And what is the inspiration behind his name? How did you
my bua thought it would be interesting if we could say Bhagwan ka naam in some way. Yeah, so Hari was just that's what she told us. But yeah, it was quite cool. So this was in my dad's house. Then in my nanny's house again, we always had so my nanny had a lot of farm space around her house, and then we always had multiple doggies there. So there was Caesar, there was Walter, there was this fellow named JP, and JP stands for Jaiprakash. And then there was this other boy. There's this neighbor's dog that just ran away from his house and stayed at our house for almost 8 years. Oh. I mean, that neighbor still probably doesn't talk to us anymore because their dog left them and came to us. But I think the whole feeling of having a dog or a pet around you is something that every child should experience growing up. I think that brings in a lot of EQ, you could say, in what you become eventually as a person. And I think that's what I don't see a lot of people with I think you know when you see a pet person and when you see a no pet person. You know they've you see the difference and you just meet people who know how it is to be with a pet. So yeah, that was home mostly. And then after Hari, I didn't have a pet for a while until one day walking back from school, I found a cat. And it was the last day of school, and I was walking home to my bua again. And so I picked this fellow up, a tiny black fellow with blue eyes. And I took him with me. And surprisingly, like, we had never had a cat. We were always dog people. It just, the cat never really seemed like it would be a fit. But I took this one home, and somehow my bua said you could keep it. And so I had a cat for a while, and this one grew up to be quite dog-like. And its favorite food was chana and aloo somehow. It never really had milk. And it would have coffee, it would have Maggie, basically all the junk that a 11th, 12th standard kid has, it would have. And it was named Malu.
Malu. Okay.
Yeah. Malu was this sweet black cat.
Any meaning?
I probably... No, it just felt like a Malu. So, sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, so this one was Malu, and then after 2 years I had to move out. I went to college outside, so Malu stayed back home with my parents and with my extended family, and it kept bringing them back dead birds from different places to their horror. But I think that's what cats do. They bring you stuff. I mean, I think cats do that quite a bit.
Right.
And they just leave a dead bird in front of you being nice. That's the nicest they'd be to you, perhaps. But it's kind of sweet in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, every living being is different.
Yeah.
In their own way. Do you see any part of your personality, as a person and as an athlete, that you learn from all of these animals, pets that you spend time with? Because I think you're one of those few people who's been lucky to experience dogs, cats, guinea pigs, right?
Fish and snails. I had a pair of snails called Hocus and Pocus.
Oh.
And the fish were called Hope and Patience.
Nice. Okay.
Anyway, in this sense, I mean, I won't say as an athlete or as a person per se, but I think one of the best things about pets is the fact that they don't judge you. You can come home to them with anything and they just be there for you like nothing's ever changed. And I mean, if you can be, I guess that's one of the most special things that you get from being around animals, and to be able to be that purely loving or openly affectionate without caring about things that may not necessarily be tangible or
Material.
very easy to material is something you don't see in people as much as you see in pets. And I guess goal sheet, you could say, would be to be able to be like a dog someday in terms of just how they love. And so it's not something I would say I have constantly been able to achieve, but it's definitely aspirational.